Hi, third graders. Welcome to our language lesson. So if you can get your language books out, we are going to go to page 61. All right, page 61 in your language books. Remember, you can always pause the video if you need to grab something, and then you can always rewind in case you missed anything, okay? So we're in page 61 in our language books. Now, before we look at page 61, we're going to use the commas rules. Here's a chart from our classroom, and so far we've used the first rule. We use commas when we are joining words to correct a run-on sentence. We also use commas when we're saying yes or no at the beginning of a sentence. We use commas when we are speaking before and after the name of a person we are speaking to in a sentence. And we also use commas to separate a city and a state. Now, we're going to look at the fifth rule. We use commas to separate words or group of words in a series. So let's use this rule here. This is going to be level 3 thinking for now on page 61. All right? So it says here, think A. Read these sentences carefully. Use proofreader marks to add the necessary commas. All right, so once again, when you're listing things, you use commas. The first example says, Katie, Austin, and DJ are in my third grade class. So notice how they are listing friends. They use commas when they are listing their friends. I'm going to use another example. Let's say I write something like Azion, Jeremiah. Notice how I'm using the commas when I'm listing them. Oops. Jeremiah, comma, and Dylan are the boys in my class. So notice how when I listed these things, these names, especially, I used commas. Azion, comma, Jeremiah, comma, and Dylan. Now, I don't need a comma after the word and. I don't need a comma here because and is not part of the items that I'm listing. Notice that too with the others. Let me just erase this. Notice that too with the others. There is no comma after and because and is not an item to be listed. So take a look at number 1. Let's use level 3 thinking because we're applying the rule to new sentences. That's what level 3 does. We're applying it. So many farmers in Kansas raise cattle, wheat, corn, and soybeans. If I didn't have the comma, I would think that wheat corn was one word. But wheat corn is not a word. It's not even a thing. They're listing it. They're saying many farmers in Kansas raise cattle, comma, wheat, comma, corn, comma, and soybeans. So the sentence is basically saying the farmers in Kansas raise cattle, wheat, corn, and soybeans, 4 different items. So let me do that again. Many farmers in Kansas raise cattle, wheat, corn, and soybeans. Now, if you want to say comma in between each item you're listing, just to help you put the commas there, that's totally fine. Kelly, Wesley, mom, and dad drove to Salina, Kansas to visit their family. Now, when I read that, I read it really fast because I didn't know where to pause. That's what commas do. They help pause. So I'm going to assume that Kelly Wesley is a name of one person. Or I'm going to assume that Kelly Wesley mom is a whole name of one person. But that's not true. It's Kelly, comma, Wesley, comma, mom, comma, and dad. So 4 different people drove to Salina, Kansas to visit their family. So I hope you're doing this too in your book as you're watching the video, following along, putting the commas in the correct places where I'm putting them. All right, number 3. Grandpa, Grandma, Aunt Robin, and Uncle Phil were all there to meet them when they arrived. Ooh, let me read that again without the commas. Grandpa, Grandma, Aunt Robin, and Uncle Phil were all there to meet them when they arrived. We don't talk like that. We don't zoom through a list of names or items. We say Grandpa, comma, Grandma, comma, Aunt Robin, comma, and Uncle Phil were all there to meet them when they arrived. So remember, there's a pause when you're reading the words or the list with commas. Along the highway, Kelly and Wesley saw tall windmills, stone fences, and large fields. Okay, again, I need to pause somewhere. When we speak or when we read, it's good to have that pause so that we don't run out of breath and that the person listening to us can also understand our information. Along the highway, Kelly and Wesley saw tall windmills, stone fences, I think that's one word, stone fences, and large fields. The huge windmills use wind to make electricity for farms, towns, and cities. Number 5. The huge windmills use wind to make electricity for farms, towns, and cities. Well, I'm listing some areas where they use the huge windmills. They use them in farms, comma, towns, comma, and cities. Oh, my comma's missing. There you go. Right? So remember, if I went too fast, you can pause or you can rewind. Feel free to do that. It's all on your own time. So this was level 3. We use the rule here. We use commas to separate words or group of words in a series. Series meaning when you're listing things. And we don't use a comma after the word and. We don't need to put a comma after and when we're listing things because it's not an item. Now think B, right? Think B. Okay, think B is level 5 thinking because we're grading it. We have to determine if they're using the correct punctuation marks. And if they are, we'll put yes. If not, we'll put no. Whales, seals, and dolphins can learn new tricks. So that's number 1. Whales, seals, and dolphins can learn new tricks. I am listing animals, and I'm glad they put a comma after whales, but they do need a comma after seals. So this is not using the comma rule correctly. Number 2. She was absent Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I'm assuming the student was absent on 3 days, and they listed the 3 days, and they made sure to use a comma. So this is yes. John, did you wrap the present? I'm talking to John. I addressed him. And remember that rule, when we are talking to someone, we have to, here it is, rule number 3. When we are speaking to someone, we have to use commas. So yes, I need to put a comma after John. And this is a no. They are not using the proper punctuation here. Reverend Donald M. Henson is the pastor of Red Rocks Church. Ooh, I know I don't need commas, but it should already look funny to you. If you're a good reader and you read a lot, sentences that are not using punctuation marks should look funny because here we are abbreviating the word reverend and it needs a period. And then here his middle name is M, it stands for something, and we need a period. They're initializing it. It's his initial. So no, they did not remember to use the punctuation. Gabby, number 5. Gabby, what is your favorite color? I'm talking to Gabby. And did I use a comma when I spoke to Gabby? I did. So yes, good job. I like peaches, pears, and bananas. Do you notice how I spoke really fast? That's because I didn't see a comma anywhere. I'm listing things that I like. I like peaches, comma, pears, comma, and bananas. So no, they did not use that sentence. They didn't use the punctuation marks correctly. It's missing punctuation marks. No, I made an A on my paper. They started the sentence with the word no. What was the rule again? Right here. After yes or no at the beginning of a sentence, we need a comma. So they did that. They put a comma there. Good job, number 7. Mr. L.B. Johnson was President of the United States. Again, if you're a good reader and you read something and it's missing the punctuation marks, it should be a red flag like, error, error. But here, it's all good. Look, Mr. is abbreviated and it has a period. L and B are his initials and there are periods and they're capitalized. So it's pretty good. Yes. It's a good sentence. Number 9. Yes, they wrote letters to their class missionary last Sunday. All right, that rule again here. Did they use a comma after yes? Let's see. Number 9. Yes, I did. So, yes, very good. Number 10. I would like to make a special gift for mom. Well, they capitalize I, so that's good. Mom is capitalized, yes, because they're calling someone mom. And I'm not listing anything. I'm not naming a city or state, so I don't need a comma. The period's in the right place. Number 10's good. Yes. All right, so that's how you did B. You graded that. You were the teacher here. So we did a lot of level 3 and level 5 thinking today in our language books. Let's go back to the rules. Again, if you need to pause the video or rewind or go forward, feel free. Let's look at the rules again here. When we are using a comma, we use commas. Number 1, when we're using and a joining word to correct a run-on sentence like comma but or comma and or comma or. Those are that's what it means here. Use a comma after yes or no at the beginning of a sentence. Use a comma before and after the name of a person you are speaking to in a sentence. And then I think we skipped this one. We didn't go there yet. I'm not quite sure, but definitely we did this number 5. We use a comma to separate words or group of words in a series. All right, third graders, good job. Thank you for following along with the lesson. If you have any questions about page 61, you can always go back and rewatch it, or you can ask me these questions during our meeting time today, later on today. Thank you. I'll see you at our meeting.